Yesterday, I made some notes on what was on my mind and my heart, and I wanted to share this thought with you, but I have to look at my notes, so I'm sorry, but I was thinking about this wonderful old song called Ordinary People. My sister sang it when I was a kid. And that reminded me of the boy with 2 fish and 5 loaves, 2 fish and 5 loaves. The song is just ordinary people. And it talks about how God uses ordinary people. Well, the little boy with 2 fish and 5 loaves went to hear Jesus teach, and there were over 5,000 people present. To begin with, I've always wondered how 5,000 people could hear Jesus because there was no electricity and no microphones. But that's free. The little boy could easily have kept his lunch to himself, and nobody would have passed judgment on him, might not have even known. But he put others above himself and gave his lunch to Jesus, not part of his lunch, but his whole lunch. And I can't help but wonder, did he believe that Jesus was going to feed all the people with his little lunch? Or did he just give it thinking he was going to help somebody? I mean, when you read, those thoughts just come up. But regardless, he put others above himself. He put someone above himself and gave what he had to God, to Jesus. Jesus fed that whole crowd of 5,000 people and still had food left over in baskets. In a whole different story, there was a woman who had debt. All she had in her house was a little bit of oil. If her debts were not paid, her debtor was going to take her sons and make them work it off. The man of God, who was Elisha, told her to gather all the vessels that she could and pour oil in those vessels. That had to sound a bit far-fetched because all she had was a little bit. Did she roll her eyes? Maybe. Did she have doubt? Could be. But she obeyed. She did what the man of God said for her to do, and God supernaturally met her need. And then, this one other story that I'm tying in was even before Elisha and that widow. There was a different widow that Elijah encountered. And he told her to make him a cake to eat. And she told him, look, all I have is a little bit of meal to make a cake for my son and myself. And then we're just going to lay down and die because there was a famine and there wasn't enough provision for them to survive. And Elijah, sometimes I get mixed up there. Elijah said, make me a cake first. She could have said no. I doubt anybody would have passed judgment on her for feeding her child first. But she didn't. She obeyed the man of God and she put him first. And God supernaturally met her need. We may see impossibilities in our circumstances, and we may just think, how in the world is this gonna turn out? We might even want to hold tight to what we have. But God can't fill a closed fist. It's only an open fist, an open hand that God can pour into. So we have to let go. And when we open up and obey Him and His Word, He meets our needs. Not only does He meet our needs, but very often He exceeds our needs. He gives us more than enough. And the message of more than enough reminds me of Ruth gleaning in the fields of Boaz after she was widowed. Interesting. All three of these were, no, the little boy wasn't a widow. Never mind. But Ruth gathered what other people dropped when they were harvesting, and Boaz told them to leave handfuls on purpose. And Ruth had left her land where they didn't believe in God and came home with Naomi and trusted God. She was like, your family is going to be my family and your God is going to be my God. When we let go of our desires and give in to God's desires, we open up our hand and make room for Him to exceed our needs. And I just think that's amazing. And I just wanted to share that. I hope it blessed you as much as it blesses me. Y'all have a good day.